the fact that you think it's okay to put these out to your audience, and this is what you're portraying, you are a part of the statistic that makes women scared to come forward and talk about their abuse. You owe everyone an apology.
And anybody else who thinks that it's okay to make light on these situations, to make fun of people, to harass people, to target people,
you shouldn't be on the internet, because that is absolutely wrong.
100 bands, I ain't waiting. I'm figured it fucked up. Boy, you got me fucked up. I'm figured it fucked up. God damn, you got me fucked up.
So basically, if you don't know what's happening, this is it. This is Jake Paul. He's a problematic piece of shit that plagues YouTube and bothers everyone, including his neighbors, but don't worry, he just dabs on them and everything's okay. This is his assistant, or whatever, named Megs. I don't know what the fuck she does other than put up with Team 10 bullshit and pretend to be the victim. This is Erica, Jake's girlfriend or wife or whatever the fuck, and she's also an ignorant piece of shit, but we'll get into that. This is Alyssa, Jake's ex-girlfriend that he made look bad and continues to be a cunt about everything involving her, like indirectly being a bitch, yet still tagging her name in his videos because he's a fame-thirsty piece of shit. This is FaZe Banks, owner of a group called the FaZe Clan. They're a gaming company or group, I guess, and they play a lot of Call of Duty and CSGO, which I think are the top 2 games that they're known for. He's kind of dope, I guess. I've known who he was longer than anyone else on this list, so I know that he's the least problematic person here. So long story short, for background, Jake is butthurt that Alyssa is happy with her new boyfriend and stuff, because Jake's that obsessive ex-boyfriend type who uses the excuse, "You're not good enough for me, I hate you, get out of my life, but I also don't want you to be with anybody but me because I'm an obsessive psychopath who thinks I'm entitled to everything and everyone." So again, long story short, for anyone confused as to what's happening, Banks went to this place called Warwick, which I'm pretty sure is like a club. I've never heard of it before, but that's what Google is for. He was there with a bunch of friends and a bunch of people that he knew, and they also knew Alyssa, his girlfriend. And later on, when he was back home, he gets a DM from that kid Nick from Team 10, the one who's so far up Jake's ass he thinks that England is a city, even though he's from England. He says that Megs also conveniently was at Warwick at the same time as he was, and she got hurt, but he clarified that she thinks that he did it on accident. And Banks is like, "Wow, I don't remember anything about that night, but if I did hit her, it's totally on accident, I'm so sorry, blah 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 blah." And then Nick just happens to post Banks' response and conveniently crops out the accident part, and then Team 10 comes out with a video where Megs is now accusing Banks of clotheslining her on purpose, putting her in a chokehold and dragging her to his table while he was on drugs or heavily intoxicated.
When I was leaving, he sort of clotheslined me and put their arm out in front of me and tried to like pull me into the place that they were, into his table. He like put his arm out and like went like this.
I feel like it was more extreme than
yeah.
just, I mean
look at the bruise,
he literally like dragged
that you like lost your breath.
Yeah,
right?
like he knocked the wind out of me, and like.
So at first everyone was like, damn, what the fuck? Who would do that? But then Banks, who by the way has the respect of millions of more people than Jake Paul can ever dream of, and Banks actually has the credibility to his name that Jake Paul lacks. Also, Banks is just not an ignorant cunt like Jake is. So Banks comes out with this video explaining everything with Rice Gum and Alyssa and a few of his friends, whose names I can't remember, where they give their side of the story, and since they were with him, they can guarantee that he didn't hurt anyone or do anything or even cheat on Alyssa, which was another accusation because Team 10 is thirsty and out of content ideas apparently. So pretty much everyone took Banks' side, and Jake lost a fuck ton of subs that he didn't even deserve in the first place for so many other reasons, which I can touch on in a future video, but I think I actually will come back to it at the end of this one. And Banks gained a fuck ton of subscribers because Banks is actually a credible source and Jake isn't. So then people started pointing out how Meg's bruise sparkles when there's light on it, which led people to believe that it was makeup because a lot of eyeshadows have tiny micro glitters in them, and glitter sparkles under light, obviously. And Team 10 isn't smart enough to buy matte eyeshadow. I definitely believe that. But then again, I don't wear makeup unless there's like a knife to my throat. So if there's micro glitter and matte eyeshadow, don't at me about it. Like, there's no point. I don't give a shit. But anyway, I guess she was also seen out by paparazzi where she was like hiding the bruise, and Banks mentioned it, which is what I completely agree with. Like, why show the bruise to millions of people but hide it when you're outside in front of like 10 people? Like, you're obviously not shy about it because you showed it in the first place. I don't know, but that's just me and Banks, I guess. But then Megs goes on to post a video addressing the whole accusation about it being a fake bruise. So she posted this video of her using a makeup wipe to prove that it's real, but I just laughed the whole time because she's not even trying to make it convincing at this point. And then Erica puts out a video about Meg and calls out Keemstar for making jokes about her faking it, and Keemstar claps back by saying she's a hypocrite, which kills me because she's literally taking advantage of a situation people are in all the time just for more views, more subs, and more money, and just to make everybody look bad. Yet she's still bitching about Keemstar. Like, that just gives you an idea how far Erica and Meg are up Jake's ass, and Jake is so far up his own asshole. Like, let's be real, he's 20 or whatever he is. But he acts like he's 8 and it's obnoxious. And again, I'll save that for another video because I could go on about this for days. I just wanted to put this video out before everything blew over. So my take on this step by step, an accusation from accusation, but in the least opinionated way possible, because I know the intro was biased just because Team 10 discussed me, and I think they're cancerous to YouTube and to the minds of their 6-year-old demographic.
What do you guys think about the neighbors?
I mean, I think
But I want to keep this unbiased completely. So at the point of me filming this, there is no security footage out to the public yet. So we'll just start with like the obvious stuff, like the bruise. They filmed it the day after, and that's not what a bruise looks like 2 days after basically being punched. The video came out like 2 days after, and I think it's safe to assume that they filmed it the day after just because they don't edit their own videos, so they needed time for that to happen. And it just seems like that would add a day, so I'm just trying to be realistic as possible. I could be wrong though. But anyway, bruises are red when you first get them. If that was really the day after it would happen, the bruise wouldn't be that big and a bruise wouldn't be that purple yet. I did cheer for like 10 years and gymnastics for 7, so I know what the fuck a bruise is. When I was about 10 or 11, my flyer, who sucked ass by the way, she was terrible, she was doing a straight up heel stretch, and when your flyer sucks and when you're at secondary base, there's a good chance you're gonna get kicked in the face or in that area. In this particular case, I got kicked in the neck. Mine was closer to my throat, but it's still relatively the same spot. I could barely breathe and it hurt so bad that I couldn't move my neck or talk, and this was like that for a few days. I was in so much pain, and the bruise wasn't as big as the one that she had, so that definitely says something. If I was in that much pain with a smaller bruise, then she has no excuse to be in so little pain with a bruise that big. She's whipping her head around and talking and all that kind of bullshit like it's not even there. Like, I swear she's not even trying at all. As far as I know, there's no clips of her being like, shit, this hurts really bad, or anything like that. So I doubt it's real, because no one, not even me, a salt shaker that broke her back in 2 places and fractured it in 4 and sat through that kind of pain for 4 years until my doctor figured out what was wrong. I doubt she has that high of a pain tolerance. If I couldn't even handle a bruise on my neck either, how could she do it? Next, I want to talk about the whole makeup thing, especially the video where she uses makeup remover, because again, they're not trying at all. So first she goes into the bathroom and shows her old makeup wipe that for some reason she left on the counter. Like, I don't know why she just didn't throw it away, like why she had to show that. And then she shows the makeup wipe package to show what she's using, but then she puts it down and takes the makeup wipe off the counter, which was already a red flag, because why the fuck wouldn't you just take it out of the actual package? My favorite part is how she shakes it and acts like she's picking it up, because she wants you to think it's from inside the package, but it's not, because it's a Birch Bees brand and the packaging is where there's a lid on the plastics that you could pull open, as opposed to Neutrogena, who uses like a sticker kind of method to open and close the product. So you would have heard the lid being open and snap shut, but you didn't hear it because it was already on the table and it was already dry. But then she picks up this dry ass makeup wipe that I'm positive was sitting out overnight, and she barely touches it to her skin to take off the fake makeup bruise. And this part is dedicated to their naive 7-year-old viewers who have even less knowledge of makeup than I do. Most makeup comes off fairly easily with drenched makeup remover wipes, but it's super difficult to take it off with the dry makeup wipe. A good majority will not come off if the towelette is dry, not unless you scrub it so hard that a layer of skin comes off with it. Here's a visual for those of you who actually believe this video. This is a dry makeup wipe, which is exactly what her makeup wipe looks like in the video. This one is right out of the packaging, and I will admit that it isn't the same brand, only because I'm not going to go out in the rain and to this overpriced Walmart down the street to buy an overpriced makeup wipe that makes my eyes hurt. Like, I'm not going to use it other than for the purposes of this video. Everything is super expensive in this state, and I'm not wasting my money for the purposes of an unmonetized video. And I've also gone to Walmart like literally 18 times this week, and I'm just embarrassed to do it again. But you get the point. It takes a lot to scrub off makeup with a dry towelette, so fuck you, Meg. You're literally making no effort to make this seem believable, like, at all. Also, moving on from the makeup accusation, Banks interviewed a kid and he said that the bruise could have potentially been there already, which is something that I can also believe, judging by the coloring and lack of pain she seems to be in.
She ran into you and that she got a bruise from you, but that she knew was an accident, that you didn't know who she was, and that it was just a crazy coincidence that she happened to like be the person that like ran into you.
Did she seem distressed or scared or like worried that I was gonna attack her or anything?
Honestly, no.
So she said specifically she got a bruise from me in the same night, like at Warwick at the table?
Yes.
Okay, so I just want to touch on the fact that it's literally impossible, it's physically impossible to be struck and within 20 minutes have a visible bruise on your body.
Okay, she showed me some bruise on her neck that night. I remember it.
Okay, so what that tells me is that bruise did not come from me.
So on the first day of school, one of my classes had one of those desks that fold over and creates like a half wall on the outside of it. You usually don't know about them until you smack your leg into it, which is exactly what I did. So this is a picture of the bruise the day after I did it, which is when I assume they filmed the video. And then this is 5 days later when it was the same color as the one on her neck. Like, it's physically impossible to be in no pain with a bruise like that. And it's impossible to have that coloring the day after it happened. Lastly, I guess I could touch on the actual accusation that Team 10 made. Based on everything Banks said and how many alibis he has versus a group of whining cunts that no one takes seriously, and they have no evidence against Banks other than a bruise that was either fake or real but given to her by somebody else. They provide no reason to believe that Banks did anything. It's easier to lie on the internet than actually tell the truth, and since Jake is famous for that and famous for being desperate for people to know his name, I can't take anything he says seriously until something is actually proven on their side. Also, I want to mention that having people with Meg doesn't make her argument any stronger. Like, not even in the slightest. The people Banks had in his video actually had contact with him that night, or they were actually there. The people Meg had were not there. Jake can't say anything happened because he wasn't there. Erica can't say anything happened because she wasn't there. That random guy in the corner that nobody fucking knows, he can't say anything happened because he wasn't there. Logan can't say anything happened because guess what? He wasn't there either. I don't care how strong of a relationship you have with somebody, how close you are or anything, a good majority of the time, you don't know what people are capable of, especially when your so-called alibi is defending you as a person. Like I said, do you know how much easier it is to lie on the internet than actually tell the truth? Nobody knows what happens except for Meg, and she didn't have any evidence other than a story that keeps on changing. One last thing, I can't take Team 10 seriously because Jake Paul is notorious for acting like a child and not taking anything seriously. Like, for example, the situation with his neighbors. You have to be a major fucking asshole to piss off your entire neighborhood up and down the street. But his response is the irrelevant, we have other things to worry about. Or his other response is making a complete fool of himself on the news. Jake Paul is the only person on the planet that actually thinks that what are those jokes and dabbing are still a thing. If you want people to take you seriously, don't do shit like that. But the main point of this little tangent is the fact that he told millions of people on YouTube before and instead of actually going to the police. If this was real, he wouldn't have turned an abuse case into clickbait for a 22-minute and 40-second video where he doesn't once mention anything about abuse until 12 minutes and 57 seconds in. Like, he actually used that so people will watch his vlog about his shitty life where he's surrounded by fake friends who probably secretly hate him. But don't worry guys, before you panic, he goes back to vlogging at 20 minutes and 21 seconds where life is all good again, like he didn't just blindly accuse another YouTuber of violently assaulting his assistant. Anyway, yeah, that's my take on it, I guess. Before I end off this video, I just want to mention that this video is actually intended to be just about Jake and a little bit about Team 10 as a whole and how fucking obnoxious they all are to every living being on the planet. But I needed those clickbait views because I'm as thirsty for attention as Jake Paul is, so I did this instead. But I do want to touch on it just to get it out of my system. Team 10 is just a group of desperate wannabes who want a shortcut to fame. They didn't earn anything, they just hung out with Jake Paul and fed off their subs like a pilot fish and a shark. You know what? Here's a biology lesson to celebrate the start of school in the beginning of the semester. This is a shark, otherwise known as Jake Paul. These are pilot fish, aka Team 10. So these two have this thing called a mutualist relationship, right? Team 10 eats all the little parasites off of Jake Paul, which in this case would be the Jake Paulers, and Jake Paul benefits from it because he stays clean and doesn't have to do any of the work because Team 10 does it all for him. Without Jake, the pilot fish would die off because they starve to death and they can't get any subs because they're so dependent on Jake. Although the situation isn't really benefiting them both since Jake takes like 20% of everything that each member makes, so they're kind of getting fucked over, but they're so desperate that they pretend like they don't care. He's also so fucking conceited. Like, how full of yourself do you actually have to be to call your fan base your own name just with ERS at the end? Actually, for that reason, from now on, I'm going to call all my subs and fans salt shakers just because YouTube is apparently no longer a place for unique creativity, so that's as good as you're going to get from me. Okay, so this is another thing that mainly bothers me. So number one, Jake helping with the hurricane, and number two is his not actually a diss track. Jake maybe would have gained the respect of more people if his not a diss track wasn't so pathetic. He apologized, yeah, but then he bragged about how great he was and that you're jealous of him or whatever by the end, and then said he was gonna change, but then he got super obnoxious and cocky, which wasn't anything new. I also hate that he felt the need to list off the good things that he's done that the cameras didn't see. I seriously don't think that those depressed fans wanted to be featured or bragged about and glorified just to make him look like a good person. Or how he apparently goes to schools and stands up to bullies, which I personally don't think that happened just because he's always vlogging and doing stupid shit that I personally don't think that he actually has the time to do that. But of course I could be wrong, that could have possibly happened. So the hurricane video that he posted about him going to help, don't worry, the best part is that they're filming the whole thing.
By this, and so to me, I'm taking this personally. And Hurricane Harvey, all I have to say is, F you. I'm gonna f you up.
Here's the best part. We don't know what we're getting into. We don't know if there's battery. We don't know if there's Wi-Fi. We don't know if there's cell service, but we do know that we are going to bring cameras and record the entire thing.
That means he's gonna have a camera crew, he's gonna put it on YouTube, it's gonna be monetized, and he's gonna make a shitload of money from it because 1, people will watch it and think he's changed and he's a good person, or 2, people will watch it because it's a major event happening. It's just another version of clickbait. He's not doing this to help people, at least that's not his only reason. Last time I checked, you don't absolutely positively 100% need recognition to be a good person. If he was doing this out of the goodness of the heart, he wouldn't worry about bringing cameras, he wouldn't worry about posting a monetized video on YouTube, unless the money made from that video is actually going to the victims of this hurricane, which I highly doubt because Jake's that kind of person that just takes money from everybody and never actually gives it away. And this is proven by the fact that he and Fanjoy are selling shirts that will help those affected by the hurricane. He tweeted out that he's selling merch where 100% of the proceeds go to Hurricane Harvey and that the link to those shirts were in his bio. The link is not in his bio. The link in his bio is to his own merch. The reason that this is such a big deal is because it's a lie and a scam for you to buy his merch. The product linked in his bio is not the shirt Fanjoy is using to raise money for this hurricane. That's a whole different thing. He said that the product in his bio would be used to raise money and 100% of it will go to the cause. But no, that's a lie and it's misdirection. So when I first saw this tweet, I clicked on the link and went to check out to see if it said anywhere in there that the money would be going to the hurricane, and it didn't, which means it's not. So yes, Jake Paul is the lowest of the low, and at first I thought he was lying to promote his own merch to make a profit, but I've ordered off of Fanjoy before, who first of all violated their own terms of service to give Jake Post Malone's address. But anyway, I got the email about the Hurricane Harvey shirt probably about 8 hours after he announced that he'll be selling merch for it. So I went back to see if he changed the link and he didn't. At the time I'm recording this, it's still the link to his own merch, and it's been 72 hours since the tweet was first posted. I just find it so obnoxious that he's so full of himself that he won't even give you the correct link. Like, he knows his brainwashed adolescent demographic is too stupid to actually leave the link page to find the actual charity shirt that's supposed to be where your money is going. So fuck you, Jake Paul, you're such a fucking cunt for not only using a tragedy to sell your shitty merch, but also trying to trick people into buying your pathetic merch just so that they think that they're helping the hurricane and the victims that it's taken. Get over yourself, at least until the hurricane is over. So anyway, here's a little lesson because Jake and Team 10 need to hear this slowly, step by step. Don't be a good person for views, for money, for followers, for recognition, for a vlog, or for your own selfish gain. That's not being a good person. That's doing good things for the wrong reasons. Be a good person because you want to be, and because it makes you feel like a sense of self-fulfillment. Be a good person because it makes you happy. Be a good person to benefit others. Like, I can just imagine like a little Satan inside of Jake Paul who loses its shit every time Jake does something that isn't monetized. Then once it is monetized, and once he brags about it and gets it all out of his system, that little Satan just floats up into heaven as an angel, and Jake could sleep peacefully at night knowing that he did something good for the world. Like, if he helped with the hurricane and didn't film anything and did it to actually help people in need and to help the families of the victims, then maybe I'd say this was done for the right reasons. But I truly doubt that he would be there if this wasn't a clickbait title and wasn't an invitation to 7-year-old little girls to tell him that he's a good person, because I'm sure he gets off to that every night. So yeah, fuck you, Jake Paul, fuck you, Team 10. I strongly feel like none of you deserve to be on the internet because everything you do is for the wrong reasons. So yeah, I'm fucking pissed now. But anyway, I just want to put a little disclaimer on this video that this is all just my observations and my opinion on every situation. I could easily be wrong about everything, and who knows, maybe Banks really did hurt her. Although I strongly doubt it, I'm still not going to say that that's the truth. Nothing is for sure, and we might not ever actually get a solid answer, but that's just how it is. Also, Team 10 rarely owns up to what they do when it's wrong, so another reason why we may or may not ever know the whole story. Again, just to reiterate, this is my opinion. You don't have to agree with it, and you can add your thoughts into the comment section below. If I missed anything, also feel free to add down in the comments, because I'm sure I missed a lot. I do live in dorms at school, so when I do these voiceovers, I have to rush through them because I'm on a time crunch to get this out as soon as possible. Me and my roommate have separate rooms, but I still get embarrassed just because I'm talking to myself in my room, and I have to yell because this needs to show up on video. But anyway, nobody asked about my life story, so subscribe if you want to become a salt shaker, and you could like the video if you want. Thanks for the support of my first video. This video definitely wouldn't have been made if my first video didn't get as much positivity as it did, so thank you so much, and hopefully more people will fuck up soon so I can make more content.
100 bands, I ain't waiting.